This is Dylan. Dylan asks, when do you know it's time to fire an employee? And when you do know, how do you do it in a way that shows genuine care for that person? I bet we were asked some version of this question 40 different times. How do we know when it's right to fire someone? How do we do it in a way that is caring? This is important. Let's start with the first part. When do you know it's time to fire an employee? Let me just tell you this. More often than not, most of us fire later than we should. Let me say it again. More often than not, most of us fire later than we should. It's a rare leader that has a hot temper and fires too quickly. There are some that do it, but 98 times out of 100, we fire too slow rather than too quickly. The general rule is most of us wait longer than we should. Why are we so slow to remove a troubled team member? There are some reasons that just because we have a heart, we care. We care about people. We don't want them to lose their job. We like them and we want to give them a chance and another chance and another chance and another chance to improve. We hope, or maybe we believe, that we can save them as a valuable part of our team. Those are all good reasons because we have a heart. There are other reasons that really show a weakness on our part, and that is sometimes we're just afraid to have the difficult conversation. We don't want to do that because it makes us so nervous. Or we're lying to ourselves that it's not that bad, and yet the rest of our team often knows how bad it is, and so we're losing credibility when we don't deal with the situation. Ultimately, we're avoiding conflict and we're neglecting our role as a leader to help people succeed or to move them out of the way so they can thrive somewhere else and we can move the organization forward. When do we know it's the right time? Let's deal with this. If an employee has a serious breach of integrity, or they're always divisive, or they're not trustworthy, or something that falls in that category, the time is now. There's sometimes it should just be obvious to you, this person cannot be trusted. They're always harsh and critical. They lack integrity. The time is now. If it's a performance issue and they still have character and there are other good qualities, that's when it becomes a little more gray. If it's a performance issue that could possibly improve, we're going to approach it in a different way, and I'm going to give you 4 thoughts about it. Number 1, we want to tell them there is a problem. And I cannot be any more clear. You have to do this directly. We feel like oftentimes, we're going to come in and shoot the breeze, hey, how's it going? How's your family? And well, kind of, no, you sit down and say, hey, you need to understand there's a problem in your performance. And that is the loving thing to do, is to be very direct, very clear, lead with that. You're setting the tone that you care, tell them there's a problem. Number 2, you want to define clearly what needs to change. There's something about their performance or their behavior or their attitude or something that needs to change, and you need to be crystal clear about what that is. If possible, you want their change to be measurable. In other words, it's not always possible. For example, if they've got a bad attitude, you can't say, I need your attitude to improve by 35%. We can't measure that. But if they're recruiting volunteers, you might need to say, we need to have 35% more volunteers serving 90 days from now. That is measurable. As often as you can, you want what you want them to do to be measurable. Whenever possible, you want to give them a goal that is specific, clear, and measurable, so they're going to know exactly what you expect out of them. As you're defining what needs to change, what you want them to do, at some point is you're going to want them to repeat it back to you, and don't skip this. You want to make sure they're able to verbalize specifically what's in your heart and in your mind, so they are 100% clear what they need to do to win the right to stay in the role. Now, I would recommend as often as appropriate to document this in writing. If you're having this kind of conversation, it's not only wise from a legal perspective, but it brings weight and accountability to the discussion. If you say, here's what I'm asking you to do by such and such period of time, and you write it down, even have them sign it, and if you don't, then you don't get to stay here. That may seem over formal, and it may be in some circumstances, but oftentimes it's the wise thing to do from a legal perspective, and also from oh my goodness, there's accountability to this process and we're documenting it. And so generally speaking, not always, but oftentimes you're going to want to do that. The third thing you're going to want to do is give them the tools to improve and a deadline to hit. The tools to improve and a deadline to hit. In other words, you're going to give them a mentor to help them improve, or a book to read, or a conference to go to, or weekly coaching meetings, or a podcast to listen to, or whatever. And then you're going to give them a deadline to hit. I recommend the deadline be no more than 90 days. We're not giving them a year or 6 months. We need to see quick improvement. Some people, it might be 60 days. We don't want the window to be too short where they don't have a chance. We don't want to be too long where it drags on. Probably 60 to 90 days. We need to see improvement in order for you to stay here. I want to see you succeed. Here's what you need to do. Here's specifically what needs to happen by when. Then in the process, let's say it's a 90-day process, you're going to want to help them know where they stand throughout the whole process. At the end of 90 days, you don't want them coming in and saying, well, congratulations, you made it. Or, well, sorry, you didn't make it. You want them to know through the process with consistent, regular meetings where they stand. So at the end of the 90-day or whatever the window is, it's going to be real clear to them. They're walking into the meeting already knowing there's a win, or the conversation's relatively easy. We gave it our best shot. I'm sorry you didn't make it, but we're going to need to make a change. So we're going to be clear through the whole process. And then number 4, if they make the improvements, you celebrate. If they don't, you make the change. We kind of covered that. You asked about showing care, and what I hope you'll understand is this process is showing care. This is not unloving. This is the most loving thing you can do by clearly communicating where they stand, giving them the tools to succeed, the time, the clear expectations, helping them along the way. And then at the end of this process, if they made it, man, we all won, and let's move forward together. If they didn't make it, it's going to become clear to you. It should be clear to them. This is the right way to show care. Again, I've said this before. If you've got a troubled player, everyone else knows it. If you as a leader do not deal with the problem, eventually over time, that troubled player is no longer the problem. You have now become the problem. You're the leader. You're in the role. It's your role to help them get to the point where they're able to play, or it's your role to help remove them so they can succeed somewhere else and your organization can move forward. That is your role. It's not easy, but that's why you are the leader.